Most people may not realize this, but it's actually been a little bit over a week since Donald Trump had his second yearly White House physical. And unlike after the first physical, where Dr. Ronny Jackson came out and told us that Donald Trump was essentially the healthiest human being who's ever lived, we didn't get a press conference this time. And it's likely because it turns out that Ronny Jackson was essentially a fraud, basically. Yeah, he was a doctor, he went to medical school, but he lied through his teeth there to the American public. So after this second physical, we didn't get a press release. Hell, we didn't even get any test results released from the White House. And there's one person who actually finds this incredibly suspicious. And that person just happens to be Dr. Jonathan Reiner, who has been the longtime cardiologist for Dick Cheney. And I know a lot of people are curious about the fact, but yes, Dick Cheney actually does have a heart, and he's had a lot of heart problems. And we've known about that since the time he was vice president. They didn't try to hide that or cover it up. Dick Cheney was constantly having heart problems. But his own cardiologist, a guy trained to recognize this kind of stuff and basically look at people and tell from their lifestyle basically how healthy they are, is telling us that something is very suspicious about the White House not releasing the results of Donald Trump's latest physical. And Dr. Jonathan Reiner believes that the White House is trying to hide information from the public. And to be honest, I completely agree with Dr. Reiner's assessment here. I think about it. After the first physical, Dr. Ronny Jackson did come out, he gave this press conference, and he said that, if he just ate a little bit better and exercised a little bit more, he could live to be 150 years old. Yeah, it was a bit of a joke, but even doctors themselves are willing to admit they can't predict someone's future health. So why would Ronny Jackson say something like that? And in fact, the little bit of info we did get out of Donald Trump's recent physical essentially said the same thing. Like, yeah, just, a little bit of diet, a little bit of exercise, and this guy is going to be healthier than most for years and years and years. Dr. Ronny Jackson actually had told us that Trump's astounding health, in spite of the fact that he, looks like he does, was the result of just good genes. It's just good genes. Everything's great with him. Great genes, which anybody who can literally see him knows that's not the case. I don't know if Dr. Ronny Jackson is aware of this, but you can actually look at somebody and see what their genes have done to them. So yeah, Trump, not so good genes there. But nonetheless, when you have medical experts out there telling us that the White House is obviously hiding something, I can look at this man and I can see that this is not the kind of guy who is in great shape, then that should give us all cause for concern here. Because keep in mind, something happens to Donald Trump, what do we get? We get Mike Pence. And then what comes along with Mike Pence? The appointment of a new vice president who probably wouldn't be somebody who's the target of any of these investigations, right? I mean, we might end up with like a Paul Ryan or something. That's a scary thought. Because then, even if these investigations do take down the entire Trump administration, we would end up with President Paul Ryan and nothing would change. See where I'm going with this? It's not that I'm saying I think these investigations are going to take down the entire administration. I don't think they will. But Trump's lying to us. The White House is lying to us, as they always do. And something's going on here. And we, as a public, have a right to know. We should be able to know if our commander-in-chief is at risk of dropping dead from a heart attack the next time he lifts his golf club above his head. That's the kind of thing we should know. Because if he's at that point, or if he's not healthy enough to carry on, then he needs to be removed from office and replaced with somebody who's not going to stuff their faces with Big Macs until their blood pressure is essentially through the roof. Or give us that information so that we can make a better informed choice in 2020 and say, do I want the guy that may not make it past Thanksgiving dinner? Or do I want to vote for the person who I know is healthy enough to maybe even go jogging each morning when they're in the White House? People need to be able to make informed decisions in a democratic society. But as long as the White House continues to withhold information like this, it's virtually impossible for us to make any kind of informed decisions. And the only reason they would want to keep that from us is because they know there's something in that medical report that they don't want us to know about. Thanks for watching, everybody. And don't forget, if you like what you see here, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And now you can also become a member of Ring of Fire and get exclusive early access to certain Ring of Fire videos all throughout the week. Just click on the little join button right below the video.